Hello, everyone. Welcome to the market simulation call for fall 2021 release. My name is Anshuman Vaidya. I'm your market simulation lead, and today is October 4th, 2021. Calls and webinars are recorded for stakeholder convenience, allowing those who are unable to attend to listen to the recordings after the meetings. The recordings will be publicly available on the ISO web page for limited time following the meetings. The recordings and any related transcription should not be reprinted without the ISO permission. We'll go through the following agenda today. We'll talk about map stage availability. We'll talk about fall 2021 release in market simulation initiatives and their timelines. Talk about the initiative separately. We'll go through the known issues. Then we'll a quick reminder about our system interface changes, and then we'll talk about next steps. Currently, for map stage availability, we have a CMRI, UI, and API brief interruption on 10/8, that's Friday. And we'll have a Cyber API, which will be unavailable, tentative on 10/8. You could also find this information on portalmap.kaisa.com. Any questions regarding map stage availability? All right, moving on. So these are the timelines for our projects. There are no changes as of now, right now. In the last meeting, we mentioned that the short, long start definition, the project start the market simulation start date for it is moving to 10/14. We are still adhering to that. Anybody has any questions regarding the timelines of these initiatives? All right, moving on. As I mentioned, for real-time settlements review phase 2, we have completed structured scenarios on September 16th and September 28th. And the structured scenario document and business requirements specification documents are available here on the links. And then for ESTER 4 project, we did perform structured scenarios on September 23rd, 28th, and 30th. We then identified a design gap that I'm going to come back to in a few slides later. And due to that design gap, we're planning to change BRS requirements a little bit. And we're planning to publish the updated BRS by end of this week. And planning to implement the changes before the last date of testing of market simulation, that is on 10/13. Before that, we want to implement that change in map state so that market participants can test on it. The business requirement specification documentation and structured scenario documentation is available here on the links for this project. Anybody has any questions regarding these two projects?
Hi, Anshuman, this is Chen Yu from TGNE. Thanks for sharing the updates for the ESTER 4. You say the resolution, the change is going to be deployed by October 30th, so market participants can have a chance to test that. How does that impact the go live stage? So we'll say if you have the code in map stage on October 30th, and we definitely will need time to test before November 1, right?
Right. So
I'm just trying. Yeah.
Yeah. I was mentioning that we will implement the change before 13th of October. 1/3.
Oh, 13. Oh, okay. Okay, that's better. Okay, so that then we will still have time to test. Okay, that So and then if that is the case, then October 13, you're also going to trigger the RUC under Gen in feasibility condition, correct? In order to be able to observe the change. Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Anshuman.
Hi.
This is Jonas from BanksMud. I have a question regarding the UFE election in prod. When again is the last day that we can take back our election that we have provided before the market sim has started?
Let me see if I have.
This relates to the question is in prod.
Right. So does settlements team have any update on regarding this request? Assad? All right. Let me get back to you after talking to my SMEs. And your question, just to reiterate, your question is that the UFE elections that you have made for map stage, are they going to go to production, and on which date are they going in?
No, so my question is like, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, state your question, sorry.
Oh, yeah, so the question is like, I know because like we already provided our election in prod, but I know there is that kind of like time that we can like kind of like change our election in prod. Because like right now what we are doing is we're testing no UFE settlements in market sim, but let's say we decide to change our election in prod. When is the last day again for that?
This is Bob Hess. I'm the project manager on RT, and we just had this discussion in a team meeting. The update, I believe by October 31st, is the election for 2022.
How about for the go live for 2021 November?
I believe it was 9/30.
Oh, so we cannot change? Because like we're still doing the testing for September 16 and September 28th hasn't posted yet, right? Posting tomorrow for September 28th.
Yeah, Anshuman, I think we should take this as an action item and follow up.
Yeah, definitely, Bob. Let's discuss it with our SMEs and we'll get back to you, Jones.
Thank you. Do you need any IMS ticket, or are you good with this question in the meeting?
I mean, it will be great if we could create a CD ticket so that we can track it.
Okay. All right, I will do that after the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions we have for these two projects? All right, moving on. So we are supporting market simulation for hybrid resources phase 2A. We'll support it till October 15th. And then we have intertie shadow pricing resolution. We are still supporting the market simulation for it till October 15th. And as I mentioned earlier, short long start definitions project will start market simulation on October 14th. Anybody has any questions regarding these four projects?
Hi, Anshuman, this is Chenyu. I have a question not regarding to market sim, about the short long start definition. On the web, on the CAISO calendar, and it still says tentative and doesn't really have a link for the short long start definition. I mean, doesn't have a video or conference link for the training. This is referred to the training target on October 14. Can your team also follow up on that? And it is October 4th. We will know. We would like to know whether or not October 14 it's a day for training or not.
Thank you for your question, Chenyu. Let me see if somebody from CAISO can answer that training question for short long start definitions. Chang, would you have more information on this?
Sorry, Anshuman, for short long start for the training, this is a question about the schedule about it. Is that right?
Yeah, the question is that the training link is not available, and Chenyu was wondering when we would make that available.
Oh, for short long start definitions, the training is still TBD based on it being presented to the board. So we want to finalize the schedule of when the board will happen, the board presentation will happen, and see if there's any additional adjustments needed for the training, and then to determine the appropriate time of the training based on the go live date that will be determined by that board review. So, so it's expected that the training isn't available yet for the short long start, and we'll follow up with the team to see when the target date would be. Sorry, if does that address the full question, or were there still questions outside of the training schedule? And then the reason it's TBD at this point.
It's a TBD. Okay, thanks for the response. When are we expecting the board approval or board meeting for this one?
Oh, thanks, Tanya. That's a great question. So at this point, we're anticipating a board review of this effort in November. And what that means is that would yield an activation early 2022. We're anticipating around by February. And again, that's going to be confirmed once we have once we get on the agenda for the board. But we're anticipating November board for February activation at this point, tentatively.
Oh,
perfect.
Okay.
Thank you,
I'm sorry. Yeah, you know what? I am little. Speaking of that, I also asking for variable O&M training as well.
Okay.
That also scheduled for 14. I'm so sorry. I was just mixed up.
Oh, yeah. No.
I'm a little bit under the weather today. The VOM, the link still says TBD, and we know that the schedule has been saying October 14.
Yes. So the update there is we're still tracking towards October 14th, and we're gaining a lot of momentum internally for this effort at this point. So we're expecting the code and the testing to happen very soon. And our internal review of the training materials is scheduled for this Wednesday. So we're anticipating finalizing those materials this week, and then at that point we'll also finalize our training plans, and you should see that on the calendar confirmed for the 14th. And I think the training team has set expectations to provide market notices a week before the training session, so you should also anticipate a market notice or a customer notice a week before that to confirm. But we're on track for October 14th at this point.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Chinyu. Thanks, Trang. Any other questions we have for these 4 projects? All right, moving on. So this is the design gap that I was talking about earlier regarding the ESDR4 project. Due to this design gap, if there are any RUC-generated MSOC is present for any hour, it will discard any of the EOH SOC for all hours. And we discussed it internally, and we're planning to do an update on BRS. And we'll publish the updated BRS by end of this week, and hope to get this fixed before the 10/13 market simulation date.
Anshuman?
Anybody has any questions regarding this design gap?
Yes, Anshuman, can you hear me?
Yes, Alva, go ahead.
Great, thank you. So a couple of questions. One is, what's the nature of the fix? So is there a definition yet of the fix?
The limited details that I'm aware of right now, I think we're going to make changes in BRS where we specify what will happen for critical hours and what will happen for non-critical hours. Okay. And you will see the exact change by when we publish the BRS.
Okay. And expectation, is that going to be done hopefully with enough advance notice that we can plan a test, or is it going to actually happen like the day before the 13th? What's the time frame for that publication?
So I'm hoping that if we publish the BRS by end of this week, we'll give you a few days before you can prep your testing cases on 10/13 trading date, so that we can implement the change, and then you can test it on that day.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Okay. My other question, and I don't know if Juan is on the line, but I wanted to, so given that we're not testing with MSOC, it makes me want to test, and we've had some issues with not seeing the target state of charge giving results that we expected. I would like to go through in detail what we should expect in terms of how we can test just the target state of charge without MSOC. And I'd point out two issues. One is that we need to be able to coordinate with CAISO on what the beginning of our state of charge is in any particular hour, because we cannot see that, obviously. You're calculating it and simulating it, and so I'd like to be able to get that. The other thing that we're noticing quite a bit of is a lot of blank periods in the real-time dispatch. And so we need to have a clear protocol for what you would do in the case of a blank. Is it all, right now I'm assuming it's always 0, but this leads to some sort of counterintuitive results sometimes, because you have zeros for whole hours and then zeros within hours. And so it's hard to tell whether you're actually, the market is moving the battery in the right direction for as far as the target state of charge is concerned. So just those two questions. You don't have to answer them now, but I really need to get some good information about those in order to be able to test with any confidence the target state of charge.
Great, thank you, Alva. I think those are great questions. I don't have one online right now, so we might not be able to get into it, but if you could create CD tickets regarding those, in those cases, then one would get a chance to look through those cases and provide a response, and then we can have a quick call to discuss those responses too.
Okay, good. Well, I hope maybe we'll have that tomorrow then. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, Anshuman, I have a question. This is Elena from PG&E. So for intraday shadow pricing, we have been asking for the training communication, and we haven't heard anything yet. So do you have any update on it?
Let me defer that question to Trang. Go ahead, Marcelo, you had something to add?
Anshuman, this is Marcelo, the PM, Marcelo da Costa, I'm the project manager for ISPR. Right before we opened on trade date 9:30, there was a communication sent out about what's changing on the ISPR project. There is no training needed, but communication training team sent a communication what are the minor changes that were sent on the 9/29. The communication was sent out before we open for trade date 9:30. You may want to check back on those notifications.
To the audio conferencing. I believe I did not. I haven't received any communication yet. So.
Hello.
Okay. Let me follow up with the communication team, see if the communication has been gone out. Okay. Let me do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I can confirm I have not seen the communication either.
On the Pi screen, no, it's been a couple of weeks since the last time there was a blip. I think we're expecting possibly the 7th or the 8th to see some data come in.
Hey, Alva, you might want to mute yourself.
Okay. Let me follow up. Trying to follow up with you while the communication was supposed to happen on that.
David,
okay.
Do you feel comfortable with the procedures? Thanks. And
thank you, Elena. Anybody has any other questions?
In terms of the backup procedures, is the idea that Alva would just own that until it's a little bit more developed?
Alva, do you mind? Can you mute your microphone? Thank you. All right. If there are no other questions, we can move on.
Got the general idea of how things are supposed to work. And
just a quick reminder about the variable operations and maintenance project interface changes.
Go through it and test it out a little bit. It really shouldn't be a big deal. Kind of hard to say.
Sorry.
So we're able to actually kind of use it a little bit and make sure that, you know.
All right. Thank you. So we have the system interface changes that are going to be deployed in production on 1st of January, and these are for variable operations and maintenance for Masterfile. Anybody has any questions regarding these system interface changes? All right, moving on. Well, that's all I have for today's teleconference. The next one is scheduled on October 7 at 2 p.m. I'll open up for any other questions that we can talk about here. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining the call. We'll see you back again on October 7th.
Thanks, Anshuman.
Thank you.